Christians or others. And when they are under the mercy and the justice of the Shariah, the non-Muslims will be protected in terms of their life, their honor, their wealth, etc. And that ayah does not say go kill them. It said fight them until the deen is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And obviously they will then pay the jizya, which is the tax for them, and their life and wealth will be protected. But can I just say that this issue of love thy neighbor and, I love you, the love must manifest itself. How is it that under the concept of love, your crusades were, killing people and they were knee-high in blood?
Come on, Anjem, show us a verse in the New Testament that tells us to spread our faith by the sword, and don't use the parable about when Jesus is coming again. Just give me one verse that is taken in the New Testament that tells Christians to spread their faith by the sword. Just one, Anjem. And don't run to the parable.
Can I just say that the love, it seems to me, is a cover for murder, because, the most Christian leaders that you have, like George Bush and Tony Blair.
George Bush is a Christian leader.
They, in 1 week, killed over 100,000 people in Iraq. You talk about a couple of people.
I'm waiting for the verse, Anjem.
The Muslims responding.
I'm waiting for the verse, Anjem.
People were knee-high in blood in the Crusades. And
one verse from the New Testament, sir.
What the Kosovans did and what Hitler did and what happened in South Africa. So, you cannot say Christianity is love. If you believe in love, why don't you practice it?
Okay, and with that, Anjem, because we have to move on, Pastor Joe asked you if you could provide him one verse from the New Testament. Can you provide it, or can we move on?
Yes, and Anjem, don't run to the parable about the man who leaves and comes back at a long time. It's a parable. That's when the end of time. Give us one verse in the New Testament, just one, Mr. Anjem, that tells Christians to spread their faith by the sword, as it does in the Quran many times.
Let him respond. Go ahead, Anjem.
Yeah, I gave you one last week as well.
Yeah, give us that one again. Go ahead.
I don't remember the exact verse, but it says in the Bible, or the version that I saw, it says, "Bring my enemies before them and kill them."
Yes, very good.
Exactly so this is what it says that Jesus apparently said. He said, "Bring my enemies before me and kill them." And
what is it talking about, Anjem? What is it talking about?
That is there in your Bible, but we don't refer to that because we.
Anjem, go ahead and refer to it. It is a parable.
We don't refer to something where people have changed the actual word. So it's Luke, I think 19:27, in fact, to be precise.
Very good. Luke 19:27. This will only take a second to show your taqiyya and your lies to the whole world. It says, Luke 19:27, you have the verse, "But bring here those enemies of mine who did not want me to reign over them and slay them before me." That's a nice verse to quote there, Anjem. But what about the fact that Jesus, in verse 11, the context, it says, "Now as they heard these things, he spoke another parable." I don't know if you know what parable means, Anjem, but if you would read the whole story, he's talking about a master. He's talking about a parable. He's talking about a story, and the story refers to the end time when Jesus will come back at the end of the earth. Why are you using lies and taqiyya here? It's very clear for anyone who has a brain, Anjem. I hope you will do a little bit more honesty in our conversations in the future.
Okay, with that, we are running out of time. I'm going to allow Kamal to give his final comments, and then we have to end the show.
Well, if you look what's behind Anjem and what's behind Omar, Sheikh Omar from last week, from last time when we spoke, they have, the matter of fact, the flag, the two flags, the white and the black, and that says La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. This is the two wizara, one house of Islam, and the other house is the house of war. Basically, everything that they have said, everything, has to come to war, either to defeat, those non-Muslim country and bring them to war. So this is the flag that he's putting behind. It's a war flag to come against non-Islamic country. This is a statement for the Muslim, and all the Muslim around the world know that. And nevertheless, it says Surah in 225, Surah 225, Allah will not hold you responsible for mere utterance on any oath. So therefore, ye can say what you need to say and get away with it, because Allah is not going to hold you, because you're arguing against infidels and apostates. So therefore, you're led by your spirit.
Mm-hmm. And with that, I still don't, understand how Sharia would help the West. All I've heard is violence, killing, subjugation under Islamic law.
They agree that all of those things are part of Shariah, and but then they're telling us that that's going to be good for us.
Well, I guess we'll have to allow our audience to make their final conclusion and just look at the facts of tonight's discussion. We thank you so much for joining us on this evening's episode of Jihad Exposed. Thank you to all the guests for joining us. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks from tonight. Make sure you stay tuned for Pastor Joseph's News and Views tomorrow night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Thank you again for joining us. We hope you have a great night, and we'll see you next time.
I tell you what, whether it's, I'm talking to the viewers now, whether it's News and Views or Jesus or Muhammad or Answering Islam or Jihad Exposed, we see a continuous line of reasoning among the Muslim opponents. And that is the same thing that Dr. James White clearly points out. Inconsistency is the sign of a failed argument. And what we have with the Muslims is a continual subterfuge, a continual smokescreen, a continual changing of the subject. We ask the Muslims, give us one verse where the New Testament, where it's commanded for Christians to go and spread their faith by the sword. Anjem Chowdhury doesn't know the verse. He has one of his little friends given the verse in Luke 19:27, which he quotes completely out of context. It's talking about Jesus when he was telling a parable about the end times when the Son of Man will return, the Son of God, Jesus Christ. Anjem Chowdhury is in London. Islam's been in London a long time, and Islam is very weak. And we see that even as he pointed out, this is Allah's law, Sharia law. Well, if it's Sharia law is God's law, why is it taking your God so long to implement it in the earth? Well, we have to ask God to show us the answer. Anyways, I could go on and on and on, but I have restraining orders, Anjem, so you get off easy tonight. All right, well, anyways, Sheikh Omar Bakri Muhammad, as you could see, his hatred, his villainizing, talking about my mother and father, I don't know if he's just, he has no excuse except, or no reasoning. No, did you notice, by the way, dear viewers, and some are still in the studio, did you notice how many times Anjem said, Sharia law has no reason or logic to it? It doesn't make sense. It has no logic. It has no reason. You shouldn't try to understand it with reason or logic. This is a huge difference. The God of Islam is Khair al-Makharina. Khair al-Makharina, the greatest of all deceivers. Surah 8:30, also in Surah 3. But the God of Christianity is a logical God, a reasonable God. Where do we derive logic and reason if it's not from our God who created us and gave us a mind to begin with? I appreciate the opportunity to be on this show. I hope our viewers don't feel like in any way we are encouraging Islam. We are exposing, we're allowing Anjem and Omar to expose the hatred, the inconsistency, the illogic, the unreasonableness, the murder, the murderous contempt, the designs that they have on the West and Christians. Well, I hope you'll continue to support programs like this with Sister Summer, Jihad Exposed, other programs, Jesus or Muhammad Marathon, News and Views tomorrow night, Answering Islam, as Dr. James White, we hope in the future will come back perhaps. Continue to support ABN, whether it's English, whether it's Arabic, whether it's Chaldean. Support us so we can launch that new channel to continue to expose the dangers and the lies. And I'm sorry to say that, Anjem, if you're still watching, but you're lying. You're using subterfuge. You're not being honest with the viewers. And this is what we have to face. And we need that show in English. We need that channel. Call right now, 248-416-1300. We need your help to continue to not only, first and foremost, exalt Jesus Christ, spread the gospel, but finally to show forth the errors of Islam, even as they try to tell us a different story. All right, well, I just want to share that with our dear viewers, and I want to ask you to tune in tonight. I believe our program will be at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live program with the Aramaic leaders of the Christian community in Metro Detroit and others, talking about the tragedy that took place in Baghdad on Sunday, talking about Sharia law. We've mentioned it many times in our different programs that under Saddam Hussein, there wasn't that much Sharia law. It was a secular state. Christians seemed to have a relatively easy time. They could worship, and as long as they didn't cause problems for the government, they left them alone. As a matter of fact, Saddam Hussein built churches, paid for money for churches in America. Can you imagine a Muslim leader doing that? And yet now under this new constitution, Sharia law, Islamic law, the law that Anjem Chaudhry and Umar Bakri Muhammad and others want us in the West to accept blindly, this law is now in Iraq, and look what's happening to the Christians. Can you see? Jesus said, you'll know a tree by its fruits. These are the fruits of Islam. Killing, stealing, destroying. But Jesus said, I've come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. Stay with us tonight. Give us a call, 248-416-1300. We're here to pray with you. We're here to encourage you. We love you. And we look forward to hearing from you in the next program at 10:30 p.m. live, special edition program exclusive on the terrible tragedy in Iraq this past Sunday. Some 57 Christian brothers and sisters martyred for the cause of Christ as they were worshiping Him now in heaven. I hope you'll be with us tonight at 10:30. God bless you, and we'll see you a little bit later on tonight.
Jihad has come to America.
It constitutes the most devastating series of terrorist attacks in history.
The only deen Allah accepts is Al-Islam. And whoever seeks any other deen apart from Islam will never be accepted.
Allahu Akbar! We stand together to win the war against terrorism.
But you too will make your destruction!